Good afternoon. You guys have been invited to our Escrow Tuesday program. We've got some amazing special guests here today. Charles Swanberg here. How y'all doing? And we start with Escrow Tuesdays because, Nari, what can happen in escrow?
Anything and everything can happen in escrow.
That's right. All right. Well, Nari, introduce yourself. What are you all about? I see you work for an escrow company, possibly.
Yes. I do. You got that right. Hello, my name is Nari, and I am from Tower Escrow. And we have 4 different locations throughout Southern California. We have Downey, Torrance, and LA, which is our corporate, and our 4th one, Rowland Heights, where I am from. I am the business developer there. And if you need a successful escrow to be opened, either sales, residential, commercial, or bulk, then I am the person for you.
Wow, you said bulk. I like bulk. Yeah, that's actually, isn't that like a business sale, right? Bulk sale or something like that. All right. Well, I am in real estate. I've been doing that for a little over 30 years. You can look at me up on Facebook and figure out what I do. But what's more important today is we have the one and only Dan King from Houston, Texas. Dan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, good. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be a part of this awesome show that I've been seeing and hearing about for the last couple of weeks.
Right. So Dan, there's your story out there that we've heard about. It's amazing. But how did Dan King become the king of real estate in Houston? What got you into real estate?
That's self-proclaimed king of real estate in Houston. But what got me in Houston, I started officially in 2015. Before that, like most people's story, they were doing investments or investing and buying and selling properties for their own flipping. In the early and late 2000s, that's what we were doing here in Houston. And then I kind of slowed down from that a little bit, stepped away. And then one day, someone's one day they're like, you should go get your real estate license so we can get back in the game. And I was like, sure. So I signed up at a local school here, got my license in 3.5 weeks. And that's it. It just all graduated uphill from there.
A lot of us can share that story of one day when we all decided to get a real estate license. Like for me, it was like, I had a realtor represent me on, purchasing home. I'm like, I could do that, right? So now you're doing it, right, Dan? And so tell us what other types of things you were doing, the flipping and stuff. Give us a little more detail because I know you did some lending or doing some mortgage brokering at one time. Give us a picture of what you're doing now.
So now, mainly, I've always focused mainly on real estate, residential and commercial real estate here in Houston. Recently, I teamed up with my good friend Joseph Lamb. He's also a part of AREAA.
Sure.
They have awesome programs that will place programs for alternatively for people in those type of needs.
Right, and so it's always have an option here, right? That's close to your vest. Someone that's very reputable in the industry like Joe Lamb, so who's known in Southern California quite well also. So that's great to have. So tell us your AREAA story. We've all got an AREAA story. Hopefully you submitted your 100 Voices story, right? But then good. So we'll hear that later. But give us the interview version.
The interview version, man.
That's right.
When everybody joins AREAA, and I hope everybody that's watching this is an AREAA member. If you're not, AREAA.org/join and select your chapter. If you don't have a chapter, select Houston chapter. We could use more members. But I found AREAA in early 2017. I was just looking up real estate networking events.
Right.
The event popped up. I showed up to the event. I was like, oh, this is great. And then the local leader or president at the time reached out to me, and she invited me to the next. Oh, Don Lynn. I know you all know Don Lynn. She's wonderful.
Oh yeah.
She reached out to me and said, "Hey, Dan, come to our next event." And I just started showing up more and more. The local leadership team at that time, they just took me in and made me feel really, really comfortable. It felt like I was a part of the family. And then I started getting more and more involved. I showed up to every meeting, and then I started going to all the national events. I met all like wonderful people like you two, and you guys just show me love. Like we're instant friends, and I feel like AREAA is like a family, and I got much love for them, and I will never quit AREAA. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I just started showing up, and I get more involved. I took more of a leadership role in the last couple of years, and
Right now you're VP, right? Incoming president.
Currently VP of Houston chapter, incoming president for 2021. AREAA's been great. I have nothing. I
So you
wouldn't be
started sipping the AREAA Kool-Aid, right? So Dawn just basically cornered you, just pushed you over, and like.
I think that's a lot of people from Houston have similar stories about Dawn, and she's great. She will get you hooked. She'll get you drinking the Kool-Aid. But AREAA has provided value for me. I wouldn't still be here today if there wasn't any value in the organization.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, I think it brings you in with the story and the actual, mission, and then you're like, hey, this could help my business, right? And it's a careful balance that I think some people are very good at. Maybe some people are not as good at, but it looks like you're really taking the bull by the horns. I see you all over social media, and you got give us a story of what you do on Mondays. I saw your show pop up.
So every Monday I have a little short segment called Mindset Mondays.
Right.
Particularly what that is to get people in the right state of mind so they can set and conquer their day. I feel like if you're not in the right mindset, your day will probably go south. So you start your day with the correct mindset, you'll stay winning.
Yeah, as Brian On would say, stay away from the haterade, right? It just doesn't really help. Okay. So I know you've seen some postings of Dan, and especially his very incredible interview. And what's your takeaway? And do you have any questions for Dan?
Questions? No, I just instantly became it was just a very inspiring interview. And the words that he said, he just came across very humble, very down to earth. And it was just it was very inspiring. Just that he could say that, he says that like this time of pandemic is a blessing. And to many, it's like a reset button for many of us, and that everyone has a story, and that we should not be, ashamed of where we came from, and that it molds us to who we are today. And I love that.
We should all embrace our past, good or bad. Like you said, it molds us. We wouldn't be who we are today if it wasn't for whatever situations we've been through.
Right.
And I think the pandemic has maybe not changed what was going to eventually happen, but it's just sped things up, right? This virtual world that we're living in was probably going to take place sooner or later, right? I mean, it's not like we didn't do Zoom before. We were doing the chapter president's call actually a few years ago on Zoom, but now, everyone's on it. So I think it just kind of, the fast forward button got hit, and here we are. So Dan, I know you've seen plenty of crazy deals, in your career, and we like to kind of describe some things that you've encountered. So tell us a crazy story or two that you've experienced in your career.
I got one that came to mind when you first approached me to be on this awesome show. I was going through a deal. I was representing the buyer. This is a couple's first house ever. And then we're going through the transaction. We found a house. It was a new build inventory. And, builders are already hard to work with already. They always want something by a certain deadline. So we used one lender. They couldn't get it done. They said they let us know 5 days within the estimated closing date that they couldn't do it. So
ouch.
We had to go around and scramble and look for another lender. We found another one. They said they could do it. Something happened. We couldn't do it. We couldn't get that done either.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm here in the background trying to extend the closing with the builder, and they're being them, not wanting to. They're giving me all this BS. Like, oh, I'm going to take away your BTSA or whatever, all that mumbo jumbo. I was like, okay, whatever. You want the deal to close or not? So I got.
What's a BTSA?
Oh, I'm sorry, the bonus to seller agent. So on top of
bonus. Okay.
yeah, top of the regular commission, you get a bonus of whatever that amount is.
I thought it was some Korean boy band bonus or something. Okay, that was something else.
It could be. I mean,
yeah, it might be, right? Okay. Well, we know that developers do have. I mean, these days with low inventory, a new development comes up. Sometimes there's a lottery system and people waiting in line, so it gets really competitive. And they come out with these rules and say, "This is the rules you got to follow." And basically, we're running the deal. You just will get a referral fee. So step away, we'll take care of business. And sometimes they have their own lenders, right, that are in house and maybe they don't work out. So
when we did recommend to use the builder's lender, but they looked at the file and said we couldn't do it. So I finally reached out to everybody I knew, and then I found somebody that could get it done. So we need another 3 weeks to meet the conditions, and then the lender found one condition. The borrower at the time was not married, but did have a child support case on them. And at that time, his girlfriend was, the person that filed it. They got in some kind of fight before in the past couple years ago, and they forgot that they put that lien on him.
Oops.
And then the lender found this out, so he couldn't qualify like the debt to income thing, right?
Right.
I'm thinking in my head, I was like, can't you just go to the court and just say, hey, he doesn't have to pay tomorrow. We're cool. We're good. And the lender was like, no, you can't do that. So what we got to do? I said, get married.
Oh, okay.
I was like, really? Just get married? So I talked to, I guess we talked with the borrowers or my clients. I said, hey man, you got to get married. Is that okay? They're like, well, we were planning to get married, but not today or whatever, right? And just think that we have to close in like 15 days or something, right? There's that deadline too. So they're like, okay, we'll get married. I'm like, what? Really? I said, you sure? They're like, yeah. So they drove back to their county that lien was filed. They got married. The next day that we found out they had to get married, got certificate. They sent me the certificate. They went to the judge the next day and said, hey, we got married. Please remove the child support from him so we can purchase our house. So all this happened within the couple of days after finding it out. We submitted everything. We got the clear to close, and they closed their first house.
I've heard of divorces that had to get finalized or the messy parts of those things figured out, but I've never had a deal where basically, you had to effectively, and I'll share the screen here. We'll just immortalize it here. And that is, basically Dan's crazy way to get married to close the deal. I love it. That's pretty crazy. I've never heard of that one. So that's a top one. I've heard of lots of other crazy things. And of course, anything can happen in escrow, right? So here we go, Nari. You gotta get married, get on one knee and just get it done for the sake of Asian homeownership.
Have you heard anything like that, Nari? Being in the lending? No?
You know what? I've been in this business for almost over 10 years, and no, I have not.
Wow. It's always the opposite, right? Or you've got to undo something, or, you quick claim something and something got messed up on title or whatever, or you've got to add the spouse that you're no longer hanging out with, even though you're technically married, or vice versa, right? But wow, maybe that's a whole new thing, right? It's like buy a house, get married. Yeah. So did you charge any fees on the matchmaking service? I guess they already know each other, so.
Well, they know each other. It was just, there's already the stress of not being able to qualify with the first two lenders.
Right.
Then the stress of getting married. I don't know what that's going to lead to. They're happy. They've been happy. They're happy now. So.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Hopefully that just made things even better. It's hard enough finding a house these days. Let alone a spouse. So 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Well, anything else crazy that you happened? We could discuss one more and we'll go to our top 5 list of, takeaways here in our conversation.
So I think in the Asian community, especially, a lot of people are big on feng shui. I had a couple one almost ruined the deal because if they found something out afterwards that didn't work with their energy. One of them was, we're already under contract. We're probably like past the inspection, past the option period here. So it's going through the motions. They decide to have their feng shui master come back out to inspect the house, look at the house again.
Afterwards.
So after we're already in, we should be closing in the next 15 days, right?
Right. It's like buying a used car and then going to look at a few more used cars after you bought it, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah. So I guess something happened with their energy or their cards or whatever you want to call it. And the feng shui master said, the sink and the stove cannot be in line with each other. Something about money flows in, flows out, or energy flows in and out, right? So this house is going to be bad luck for you, or this house is going to make you feel a certain way. I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? They're like, can you ask the buyer to move the sink or pay some money to move the sink? I'm like,
wait, now this is after we closed, right?
No, this is
right
during
before.
escrow.
During the escrow, all right.
Yeah, I mean, we're already past negotiation point.
Was the seller Asian or familiar with feng shui?
Not really. I mean,
okay.
They heard of it, but they didn't understand. So
right.
They wanted me to ask for, just concessions or to have the seller pay to move the sink to a side just a little bit. All I had to move is probably like 2 feet, and then the energy would flow, right?
You sure this wasn't like a little buyer credit tactic, Dan? No, I'm just kidding.
But I really feel like I work with a lot of Asian clients here that really believe in it. But the thing is, like, I thought that you should, when you go look at the house, you already know that your energy fits. Something changed in your stars or whatever that made it require for you to move it now, like at this time. So that's what kind of threw me off.
Yeah, now we have Alex Z that we do events with once in a while here, and he talks about a lot of stuff, and it's usually, it's on an end of a T, or the stairs are coming straight out to the front door, or something, or facing the wrong way the whole house. So, but I haven't heard yet, the sink has to be moved 2 feet. So that's a number one first. All right. So the secret to buying homes, Dan, and successfully closing, obviously in Houston, is to get married and make sure the sink is not in line with what was it?
With the stove.
With the stove. All right.
Like
maybe you could just move the stove, right? Yeah. Or you could just move the house, pick the whole house up and move it at an angle, maybe, right? Wow. Well, that's, that is very often, sometimes you wonder why homes haven't sold, especially in Asian neighborhoods. You're in Southern California in the San Gabriel Valley. And it has a huge impact on, and it's not just limited to residential, it's also commercial. You always wonder why that, commercial space has always got tenants coming in and out of there all the time. And, sometimes it's just a bad layout physically, and also could be, I guess, feng shui. All right, Dan, thank you very much for sharing those two stories. And Nari, what's the time for?
It's time for our top 5.
That's right, top 5. Let's see what we got here. So our top 5 today will be, it's going to be, I'll have Dan kind of recite them here. So number 1, Dan.
Top 5, the King's best practices. I like that. Number 1, make sure you interview your lender or work with a lender that has the correct loan program for you from the start.
Right.
Make sure they get all the correct information so we don't waste time and headaches going through escrow.
Kind of like maybe working with a conventional lender that never has done a VA or FHA loan, and suddenly they want to switch and they're like going, never done one of those before. Okay. Number 2.
Number 2, really, really get to know your client, whatever their situation. They might have some kind of secret situation, like the whole
secret situation, right? That they have to get married before they buy the house, or
get divorced before they buy a house. I mean, I have another story, but we can go another time.
But that's right. But that's usually the story that happens more. All right. Number 3.
Make sure you know what your client's wants and needs are. like really get to know exactly what they want and need, so there's no surprises 3 or 4 weeks into escrow.
Right. Sometimes you're running around with a buyer and you hardly know them, and they threw a couple of properties at you and go, hey, we want to see this and this and that. So you rush out and you show it. But you really don't think about, so what do you really, really want? And you're looking at these properties going, I don't think this is going to work. You know, they might think it's going to work. So yeah, you really do need to find out. And then number 4,
of course, ask if they believe in feng shui. You don't want any surprises. I know especially we're dealing with a lot of Asian clientele. Ask them. Right.
And it's, you know, you could be Asian and not know anything about another Asian culture's superstitions or anything like that, right? I mean, deaths that have occurred in homes are pretty much a non-starter for some Asians and some not so much. So there's a lot of things that could be issues. And then, of course, number 5, catch Dan Monday morning, and he will tell you.
On my Mindset Mondays on my social media, we'll have a tip to get your mindset correct to conquer your kingdom, your day. But always stay positive and manage yourself. During a transaction, during escrow, you're going to get bombarded with different stresses. If you don't got your mindset right, this is to drive yourself crazy. So manage yourself. Stay positive.
That's right. And of course, Dan King is the AREAA Houston Vice President, incoming president for 2021, right? So what do you think, Dan? Are you going to be, is it going to be virtual, maybe 50-50 in person? What are you thinking?
I would like to be 50, start out with 50-50, people get more comfortable, but I would love to have more in-person events. I know this whole virtual thing works well, but I think a lot of people crave the connection. They crave, you know, physical interaction.
Right. And I remember Nari mentioning at, I think it was the BTS event where, I mean, here we are on Zoom, right? You could kind of see me, I could see you, we could see each other, but you're missing still a lot of the body language and communication, right? And that is, what's the percentage of body language as part of the communication? Nari, what was it, like 40%, 60%?
It was 60.
Yeah, 60. So if you take out, maybe you're getting 30% or half of that, you're still missing a big chunk of, you know, and then you've got a bunch of people in a Zoom meeting and it's hard for many people to talk at the same time, or especially you can't have a side chat. Of course, you can use the chat rooms, but that's different. So anyway, hey, Dan, thank you very much for joining us this week on Escrow Tuesdays. Guess who we have next week? We've got the Miriam Crispin. On deck here from Florida, of course. She's an executive board member of Tampa Bay chapter, and really, really exciting to have her to share her crazy stories. She's going to talk about basically the top things that you could do to get your offer accepted, and she's got some secrets that she's developed. So looking forward to see you. So Dan, again, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck on your Monday's show, and we will, guys, see you next time. We're going to sign off here. Take care, you guys.
It was nice seeing you.